Well, New York State, the vaccine mandate for healthcare workers was today, correct?
It's the article I read in the New York Times said it went into effect Monday.
Monday.
Yeah.
Um, and I would imagine there was a certain amount of, like, there's a deadline that the mandate went into effect Monday. The deadline, I don't know. I mean, obviously you can't do it in one day, but it's very short. Um, and apparently 92% of the state, this is in New York State, of the state's more than 650,000 hospital and nursing home workers had received at least one vaccine dose, according to state officials. That is as of Monday. Um, the deadline must be in a couple of days. It says days before the deadline. So there will be, they're still seeing, now it appears that in New York, anyways, there does not seem to be, in New York State, the shortage of medical care workers that they had anticipated. There's going to be some short, but for instance, in Rochester, Strong Memorial Hospital, on Monday they had announced they'd bring their vaccination rate to almost 96%. I imagine, and remember, there are staff exemptions. Fewer than 300 of 16,000 employees. That's in New York. Similar story in, United Airlines. Also a similar dynamic. Hundreds of thousands of their employees vaccinated. So the vaccine mandates seem to be working. And at least, to the extent that we have data at this point, 593 out of 67, I should say, not the hundreds of thousands, sorry, tens of thousands, 593 people out of 67,000 workers could face termination from United Airlines if they don't get vaccinated. A North Carolina-based hospital system, and this was also sort of problematic in terms of the Washington Post. Paragraph 1, a North Carolina-based hospital system announced Monday, and this was the headline. North Carolina hospital system fires 175 workers in one of the largest ever mass terminations due to a vaccine mandate. I mean, that's okay.
That's very specific.
Yeah, that's pretty
What
qualified.
about
We
like
should also,
layoffs?
yeah, we should make it clear that paragraph 1, you hear 175 unvaccinated employees were fired, failing to comply with the organization's mandatory coronavirus vaccination policy. Paragraph 1, paragraph 2, paragraph 3, paragraph 4, paragraph 5. Paragraph 6, more than 99% of the system's roughly 35,000 employees have followed the mandatory vaccination program. So if you looked at the headline, you would think like, oh my God, this is a mass termination. And I don't want people to lose their jobs.
This is exactly what Matt was saying in terms of lying by emphasis.
Yes, exactly.
Right. It's not necessarily lying, but it is emphasizing the firings in order to maybe play up the salaciousness or the totalitarian nature that anti-vaxxers are afraid of.
Yeah, it's just something that can be passed around by anti-vaxxers. And then if you dig deep, you can get down to that other story. So that's what's happening with vaccine mandates around the country. It seems like there's a pretty decent compliance, and as the vaccines get deployed, we're seeing a drop across the country in almost every state. I think North Dakota and Alaska are still having positive increases in infection rates. But across the country, it's starting to drop. Here is Fox and Friends getting a narrower and narrower territory in which to scaremonger here.
What's the next thing they're going to ask us to do? So now they want us to take this vaccine. Are we going to jail? We going to jail parents that don't get their kids vaccinated? Because guess what's coming in the next 2 weeks? Vaccinations for 5 and up. So are you going to just jail a parent at a time so one can raise the kid while the other's been incarcerated? Is that where we're heading?
All right. Couple of things here. Brian Kilmeade, having worked at Fox under the mandate that Fox had that you get vaccinated, has been vaccinated earlier than probably all of us. We should just say, we know that. No one is going to jail for not getting vaccinated. 5 to 11-year-olds, probably be closer to Thanksgiving, maybe mid-November when they will be eligible, it looks like, will not be sent to jail, and they will not lose their job if they don't get vaccinated. What is conceivable is like every other vaccination requirement to go to public school, they will be required to get a vaccination to go to public school. That seems, I think, unlikely, but conceivable. But where was he on the whole, I don't know, the DPS vaccination and vaccinations for hepatitis? Has he been complaining about that? Because kids can't go to school unless they have a hepatitis vaccination.
I haven't heard such complaints from him, especially because he's in the Fox News studio and himself is very likely vaccinated.
No. We know for a fact that Fox mandated that their people got vaccinated.
I know, but he's also like a wealthy host, so maybe the rules weren't going to apply to him entirely. But I bet he's vaccinated. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, they're all vaccinated.
Right.
Here are the New York State immunization requirements that have been up. I do not think. Let's see, diphtheria. That's the DTP. That's the DTP and pertussis vaccine, or DTaP, they sometimes call it, or Tdap. Hepatitis B vaccine, measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine. That's the MMR. The polio vaccine, the chickenpox vaccine. Additional vaccines. Those are required for daycare, pre-K, and school attendance. Additional vaccine required for middle school and high school. Tdap. And I don't know. I can't pronounce that. Additional vaccines required for daycare and pre-K, hemophilia influenza type B vaccine. The point being that these vaccine requirements already exist. Now, I don't know that they're going to exist for COVID, but they're so desperate to scaremonger over this. It's fascinating.
This is like Jordan Peterson saying he was going to get thrown in the gulag if he used the wrong pronoun for somebody in a class.
Right.
Exactly.
Mild inconvenience accounts for or adds up to systemic oppression. That's usually how it goes. And you can extrapolate that for every topic Fox News covers for the most part when it comes to their own grievances.
It really is at this point. And YouTube apparently is shutting down some of those misinformation channels.
Yeah.
I just saw Jimmy Dore just had a live show the other day. Vaccine contradictions is what he called it.
Interesting.
In the title. Vaccine contradictions. Curious to watch that. Maybe we should pull that up.
Juice that engagement.
Vaccine contradictions. This vaccine, emphasizing the vaccine contradictions, is sort of the clickbait of the day of people who think that their audience are morons or they themselves are morons. And we don't have a clip from the contradictions that Jimmy Dore pointed out. I haven't.
There's also a third option. There's also a third option.
Well, we do have somebody who has to do. What's the third option?
No, I mean, like he sees that when he talks about the squad and he talks about Democrats in a negative way, specifically progressives, specifically women, lots of upvotes, lots of views.
Sure.
And then when you're talking about maybe things that are a little bit more aligned with the left at this point with the audience you've cultivated, you get down votes. So you lean into certain things and lean away from others.
Very possibly. Folks, there's more of what you've just saw where that came from That's if you hit the subscribe and like button. Thank you. Really, thank you.